What's up everyone, welcome back to another episode. In today's video, as you can see, we're not fishing a tournament, we're rigging up the brand new Old Town 136 autopilot. Super excited about it. And in today's video, we're gonna be showing you an install of the Yak Power system. This is the Yak Power 8-circuit system. I'm super excited about this. As you can see, we have a whole array of different things. We have button lights, we have navigation lights, we got USB chargers, we got a bunch of different stuff for the battery connection, all this different stuff. We even got a speaker that Yak Power makes to do a little jamming out when we do some fun fishing. We got a whole array of stuff here from Yak Power to install on the new setup. If you haven't seen the last video showing off the brand new kayak that I got, why I got it, and stuff like that, make sure you check out the video up here as well. But yeah, the garage is a little bit of a mess. Sorry about that. We got the other kayak, my buddy Jay's kayak. We're returning to him this weekend, so we'll make a little room. We got the kayak, the tournament fishing bench, tackles all over. Besides that, today's video, we're gonna be installing all this awesome Yak Power stuff. So if you're interested in any of the stuff that you guys see me installing or the system itself, you can check out the link down below in the description and go pick up yourself some Yak Power stuff. It's super awesome. If you haven't seen already, I made a video of a DIY power harness system I did for my electronics. I'll link that up here as well. That video shows me creating my own power system for my electronics. I'm still keeping that. That's still gonna be in the new kayak. This is going to be running all of my accessories. So I have button lights here by Yak Power. That's going to be lighting up the inside of the kayak. I have 2 USB chargers. That's going to be for running my GoPros in my kayak. I have the navigation lights that you need for having a motorized kayak. That's going to be run on the Yak Power. My QuadLock phone charger system that I had on the old kayak is going to be run off the Yak Power. My PowerPole system, my rear stern light. I got a Firefly Stern Light to mount in this kayak. That's gonna be running off this. So if you're running fish finders, especially bigger fish finders, if you're running just probably a small Garmin, stuff like that, you're probably fine running it off the Yak Power. But I will say, if you are running multiple graphs, live scope, all that system, you're probably gonna want your own DIY power harness to have the higher gauge and make sure you don't lose any voltage going to all of the fish finders. But your kayak needs navigation lights, inside lights, outside lights, phone chargers, USBs, all that stuff. And that's where Yak Power really shines and does all the stuff that you need it to. So super excited about this. This one, like I said, is the 8-power system. It also uses an app as well, but it also has a button too. There's different, I think there's a 5-power system as well. Like I said, I'll link their website down below and you can see all the different products they make. But yeah, I got a bunch of stuff to install, so stick with me. I'll show you how to install it all. And really excited about this new kayak build. So let's get ready. I'll show you what we got and where we're gonna kind of put everything. And then we'll start installing stuff and then show you what it all looks like at the end. Alrighty, like I said, I got the 8 system Yak Power. So this is gonna be mounted underneath my seat hatch, and the autopilot's gonna go on the inside of the kayak, and then the button system will get mounted on the outside of the kayak. So this thing, I'm probably gonna mount it on a piece of plastic that you can get off Amazon. I used to have it for a rod holder, extra rod holders on the back of my Yak Power, or not Yak Power, my Yak Tack Black Pack, which I also made a video on that, how to add a little more rod holders. But I'm probably gonna reuse that piece and probably mount this to it to go on the inside of the kayak. But we're gonna show you, walk through every single thing of where I have stuff rigged out and how I'm gonna run this down. All right, so the most important thing that we have here is our navigation lights. You legally need this if you have a motorized kayak. This here has the Minn Kota iPilot drop down in motor with the autopilot, so you have to have your kayak registered and have a navigation lights. So make sure that one, you know which side the red and green go on. So they're super easy to install. We're gonna put this, of course, on the front kayak here. You're gonna have to figure out exactly where we want it, because you also have to put your letters and numbers from the state on your kayak when you register it. So we're gonna put the navigation lights. That's gonna be a set location, like always on any kayak. So the most important thing of the Yak Power system is how are you gonna power it? So I'm gonna be running mine off of a 12-volt, 30-amp-hour battery, and what I'm gonna do is mount it in my black pack from Yak Attack, like I did right next to my 12-volt, 50-amp-hour that runs my electronics with the DIY power harness. So I'll show you guys that in a bit, how we're gonna rig that up. I also got the 12-inch Yak Power terminal connector for the battery, and we're gonna have that. That's gonna go right to the battery on the inside. And then I have a little 12-volt switch that I'm gonna add to it as well, so I can just turn it on and off the whole system when needed to be. So yeah, it's super easy. And this way I can unplug it, pull the battery out if needed to charge it, but the way I set it up with my other one that's in there now, I charge the batteries with them attached in the Yak Attack Black Pack. I don't remove them to charge them. I run an extension cord right to them and the charger and charge them while they're in there. So that's what my plan is to do for this thing as well. So it's gonna go from the battery to these two connections, and then out of the Yak Attack Black Pack, and then go into the side of the kayak where it's gonna go running into the kayak into the 8 outlet system that's gonna be mounted on the inside. So I picked these up and I think they're really important, and of course to have a USB port to charge your phone, but I use the QuadLock Marine system that I have to charge my phone when I'm on the water. So these are actually for my GoPros. Right now I use two, portable phone chargers that you get off Amazon, and I run my cable from them to the GoPros, but this way it's gonna be a lot easier. I don't have to worry about using those battery packs. I can just install these. So I got 2 USB ports, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mount one in the front here, right on the front, and that's gonna go to my front camera that I have right by my graphs on my crossbar, which you haven't seen yet, but stay tuned. One of my next videos is gonna be a DIY crossbar that's gonna be half the cost of all the other ones on the market. Super excited about doing that, and that's gonna be, so this is gonna be in the front here for the GoPro that's always up here, and then I'm gonna mount one of these in the back of the tank well to where I have my boomstick by Yak Attack that comes off, and I have a GoPro. So I'll have both of these. I can just plug in my GoPro cord, run it up to the GoPros, and immediately start filming and not have to worry about messing around with those battery packs. So super excited about these. One thing that I've never had on a kayak before that I'm super excited to install is these button lights. So I got 4 pairs of these blue button lights, and they're gonna be sweet. So my plan is, I don't know how bright these are. I'm pretty sure they're pretty bright, but I wanted to get 4 pairs because I'm gonna put 2 pairs in the front and then 2 pairs in the tank well. So in the tank well, I'm actually running 2 Yak Attack 13x16 black packs, because one of them is gonna have both my batteries, and then it'll just be extra storage for tools or anything like that. And then I have a short stack on top of one of them, and then the other black pack is gonna be all tackle. So these tank wells and these Autopilot 136s are giant. You're able to fit 2 Yak Attack black packs, so I'm gonna have 6 rod holders on each side going back, 3 on each one. So I'm going to have 12 rod holders in the kayak, with addition to the 2 already built in. So yeah, we're gonna have plenty of rod storage on here, but yeah, so I'm gonna put 2 pairs in the front, 2 pairs in the back. What I have heard from people is don't mount these anywhere that it's facing directly towards you, because these things are really bright from what I hear. So I'm gonna mount probably 2 up here towards the front that are gonna shine towards the motor, and then I'm gonna have 2 either on the sides close to where my feet are, or I might put them on the back side of my feet where the seat is, and it's gonna shoot up, running up the kayak. I haven't decided yet, but that's what the plan is with these button lights. So I did pick up a bunch more of these SAE connectors, and that is just for getting stuff that you get from the factory that just come with a black and red, and you're able to add these, and that way you can plug it right into the Yak Power. So my QuadLock Marine, I'm gonna be adding these to. My plug for the Atwood plug for my Stern Light, I'm gonna add one of these to. My micro PowerPole, I'm gonna be adding one of these to. So it's good to have these, so that way anything that you get that just comes with a red and black, you're able to add one of these and then plug it right into the Yak Power system. So I also got some of these power ports, and you can get different lengths, and pretty much what this does is the one plug goes on the outside of the kayak, and then you have, depending on what length you get, a bunch of cable to go right to the main system and plug it right in. So I'm gonna use one of these on the back of the tank well, and I'm gonna plug one of these, the cable, when it comes out of the Yak Attack Black Pack, I'm gonna plug it into one of these plugs in the side of the kayak, and then this will run right to the system to power it up. So I got 2 of these. One other thing I got too was these Y connections. So it goes 2 plugs to 1 plug. And what I'm gonna use these for are the button lights. So I can put 2 pairs, like the front lights here will actually go down to 1 connection, and then the back lights will also be on 1 connection. So it just saves you some button room and stuff like that. I wouldn't go crazy and do like, 8 to 4 to 2, whatever, however many you could do. I wouldn't wire it down a ton of connections, but something like the button lights that you can do 2 pair and then come down to 1, it just helps out, so that way you can use all your buttons and you don't run out of room. And lastly, just kind of a bonus item I picked up was the DryTunes Yak Power speaker, because I mean, besides filming, if I'm not filming, I like to listen to music on the water. If you guys like to jam out this is a nice cool speaker that we'll be able to take out in the water and be able to jam out while we're fishing and catching fish. So yeah, let's get rigging. Let's get everything set up, start drilling holes in the kayak. That's always fun. Let me know down in the comments, do you like to rig out your kayaks? Do you cringe when you drill a hole in the kayaks? My very first kayak, I rigged up a bunch of stuff. Yes, I did drill holes that I ended up not wanting or, making mistakes, but now that you live and learn. So this is now my second kayak, so I kind of know what I want, what I don't want. Yeah, let's get installing. Let's drill holes. I also got a GoPro running up there to get a different angle, but we're going to install everything one by one and get everything rigged up, and that way you can see exactly how I'm going to set this thing up. Alrighty guys, so we're going to start out with probably the most important thing, and that's the navigation lights. We always need these. So the nice thing about this is it comes with all the stuff you need, all the hardware. They're super easy. They're literally plug and play. Like I said, I installed these before on my buddy Jay's kayak, so I know exactly how it works, and it's honestly really, really simple. So we're able to have all the instructions here. It comes with dielectric grease, which is nice. It comes with the Allen key that you need, and it walks through everything that you need. So super easy, and let's get installing this thing. Alrighty, so it's pretty simple. You're gonna drill a hole in the side of the kayak, and then these get actually screwed into the kayak, if you can see that. I don't know if it'll focus, but these actually get screwed into the kayak. These things are right here. And then the cables go in and they already run down. They're already split Y to one connection. So it's a built-in Y. So it's super nice. And then when you put these in, you'll put some dielectric grease on it to have a good outside. And then all these do is they literally plug in. They plug right in to that piece that you install. And then there's also 3M tape along the whole thing. And then a tiny screw that you're going to put through the kayak and put some dielectric on that as well. He's going to go right into the side of the kayak. It's got all the instructions here on where it needs to be located, tips for all that and stuff like that. And yeah, just make sure that you put red and green on the correct sides. You don't want to do that wrong. And if you didn't know which one is which, right here on the head of the outside of the LED lights, this one is green, says Yak Power, and this one says red in Yak Power. So that way you guys know which color is which. But when it comes to the wiring, it doesn't matter. Like these aren't dependent on which red or green. It's just these when you plug these in. So realistically, if you put them on the wrong side, you can just unplug them and then switch them around, because these don't matter which side they go on. So like I said, it comes with your hardware. It's got your two little screws, and that, like I said, goes on the end of your LED strip that goes into the side of the kayak. It comes with the wrench, and that actually goes into this silver piece I was talking about, and you actually make the threads. You force the threads to be created into the plastic. So make sure you follow the rules properly, only use this one. And then, like I said, it comes with dielectric grease, which you always want to put on your connections. And you also probably want to pick up some waterproof silicone to put around when you're installing stuff. That way you get a good watertight seal. This is for connections. I don't know if I missaid that, but dielectric grease is for the connections. The waterproof sealant is for when you're putting holes in the kayak. You always want to put around that so you get a good watertight seal. So the drill bit that you're going to be using to drill the hole in the side of the kayak is a 1/2-inch drill bit, which can be scary, putting a 1/2-inch hole in your kayak. But honestly, I might even do I'm probably going to do a smaller drill bit to do a pilot hole to start. Just do like a 1/4-inch drill bit to start and then come back with the bigger one. So it says to get masking tape, so I'm going to grab some masking tape. And that way you get a good clean line when you're installing it. Once again, apologies for my garage. I don't even know if you can see the mess that's going on. So they say you want it 1 inch above the water line, and you don't want to be able to see them over the side from when you're fishing. So if you mount them too high here, the brightness could come over the side and actually affect you if you're night fishing because of that bright light. So you want to definitely make sure it's just above the water line. So generally the numbers go right here on this straightaway. This end right here is like angled. It's actually coming upwards and it's angled like this, where probably best to go right below that line because this isn't gonna get this won't get any of that water. So we're gonna run some masking tape right down so we get a nice clean straight line. So one thing too is you want to make sure that me personally, I want to make look nice. So you want to use something on the kayak reference on each side, so you know exactly how you're gonna exactly where you're gonna mount it on that side as well, so they're perfectly even up and down on the kayak. But that's just something that I prefer. One thing it says to do is make sure you clean off your kayak with alcohol wipe. Make sure you got a good clean surface when you're installing it. This is a brand new kayak that's never seen water, so I'm not going to worry about cleaning it, but make sure you guys wipe down your kayak if it's dirty and you got water stains and dirt and stuff. Make sure you wipe it down with some alcohol. Alrighty, so we're gonna figure out kind of where we want this, and we're gonna drill a hole right there. That's always the scary part. And now we did a little pre-drill hole, so now we're gonna go with the bigger drill bit. What you're gonna wanna do is take apart these connections. You're gonna wanna unplug them right here. I forgot my camera's pointed up. So what you're gonna do first is take these connections, because they're wide off right now. You're gonna unplug them, put that wire to the side, and you need to run these wires through the kayak. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my snake to run from underneath the hatch in the back behind the seat and be able to pull this cable, this end, all the way back to where I want it. Because you gotta run this all the way through this hole and then get to this piece, and then this piece is going to be spun right there. Well, I guess for right now, I'll do it right through here. So right now we will feed this through until the end. All right, so just like that, we have all the cable fed through here. And then what this does is you're gonna take that wrench and you're actually gonna force the threads into the kayak. And that's how that's gonna work. So super easy, but we're gonna put some waterproof sealant there and then put it right into the kayak. Alrighty, so Loctite makes a really good clear silicone waterproof sealant. So we're gonna put that right around the edges here before we tighten that wrench and create those threads and lock that all the way in. Now you want your cable loose like this, because as you're twisting this into the kayak, this cable end is gonna twist. So you wanna make sure you get that twist out before you run it all the way down the kayak. So as you're twisting this, installing it, your cable is gonna turn around like that, and you wanna make sure that you get that all untwisted before you run it all the way up. You don't need a lot of this stuff, it goes a long way, but we're just gonna pull this out and put a little bit around. That way we get a nice good seal on it. And it does have a little rubber seal that comes with it, but just as an extra. And this literally goes right in to this connection. It's kind of strange, but it doesn't actually go into where it fully plugs in. So you want to make sure you take your time, get the threads lined up, and then you're going to want to put some pressure on it, and it's going to slowly start to create those threads into the kayak. You don't want to over tighten it either. Do not over tighten this. Make sure that rubber seal gets perfectly sealed off in there. If you want, you can take a little bit of that waterproof sealant and run it around the edge just to make sure you get a nice clean seal. Just don't get it in the connection at all. And just like that, that side's installed. Super easy. Like I said, and then we're gonna plug in. So the right side is gonna be green. So like I said, this plugs right in to where that Allen key went in to install it, this here. The Allen key didn't go all the way into how this plug goes in, so you don't damage it. But it's literally gonna plug all the way in, and you gotta take off your 3M tape here, and then once you tape it on there, you're gonna add that last little screw to secure it. So you wanna make sure you get it nice and straight. Okay, once this comes off, it's very sticky. You probably could use tape or something to line it up, but I'm just gonna eye it up. Once you put this tape on there, it's gonna be pretty much good. You want to plug in your connection, make sure you're nice and good, and then we're gonna stick that on there. Okay, that is all nice and stuck, and then we're gonna put this tiny screw in the end. And don't forget what I just did. Don't forget your dielectric grease when you gotta plug this in. So dielectric grease is in, 3M stuck on. Now we just gotta put a drill bit on and put in this last little screw with a little bit of waterproof silicone as well. Like I said, just put a little waterproof silicone on the end of this screw before you put it in. That way it just takes care of any possible water getting in here. You know, when you're out on the big lake, stuff like that, don't want any water getting in. And just like that. So that side's installed, super easy. So we're gonna literally just copy it on the other side, and then we'll go from there. You can see here, like I said, it's literally all twisted up, so from doing that other side. So you want to make sure, like I said, you don't run that back yet, so that cable all the way back yet, so you can take that twist out. All right, so we're gonna literally just copy exactly what we did on this side. Alrighty, also we got the other side duplicated, all done, super easy. And now we have the cables here. You can see there's a bunch, plenty of length. I don't know, there's got to be 8-10 foot. And then we're going to put some dielectric grease on these plugs, and then they're going to go back into this Y connection that goes directly into the 8 outlet system. So we're going to put some dielectric grease, plug these in, and then we're going to run this. I'm going to get my snake out and run it up here, and then we're going to run this all the way back to the back of the kayak, so it's back there ready to get plugged into the power system. So one thing that can help, especially when you're running a ton of wires in your kayak, and I honestly had this laying around, is this like PVC tubing. It's just got a slit down the whole line of it. I don't know what it's called, but it's pretty much for covering wires and stuff. So I got like half of the wires covered. I'm probably gonna pick up some more of this at Harbor Freight or whatever. But when you're running a ton of wires up here for electronics, all that stuff through the kayak, this stuff just makes it more clean. When you're running wires and using the snake, you know, you're not getting caught on other wires, and it's a little easier. But guys, also at Harbor Freight or Amazon, I'll link it down below if it's available on Amazon. But having a snake, if you do any kayak rigging, is a must. I tried doing, you know, tying on lines and shoving broken rod tips, you know, old broken rods down and around the kayak to get by. But honestly, just spend the 10 or 15 bucks this thing is, and it makes life a breeze. So we're gonna snake this up to the front and then attach this wires and pull it all the way down through. Alrighty, so we got the snake right here. We're gonna tie this connection on with some electrical tape and then pull it all the way through. Especially with this autopilot, there are already pre-wires running through this kayak to the ports here, for the plugs, I mean, for the system and the kill switch and stuff like that. So make sure if there's any wires in here, try to avoid getting in between them. Make sure you kind of stay away from them and let them naturally run how they were, and that way yours wires run like that too. So we're gonna get some electrical tape and pull this through. Alrighty, we're through. We got the plug all the way down here, nice and clean. Like I said, I'm probably gonna pick up some more of that stuff to run it down the rest of these wires, and that way it's a little more clean running down. Alright, so I'm gonna open up this whole system, and you can see exactly what this looks like. And this is the 8-button, let me get it on focus. This is the 8-button system right here, and super easy. So you got nav button right there, anchor, power, Wi-Fi, and then all these BMS 1, 2, 3 that you can decide what's going to go to them. So this is the navigation lights, obviously going to go to the nav, and you can see all this is you have your switch that you're going to mount into the kayak, which unplugs and then goes through. This gets mounted on the kayak somewhere, and then you have your power cable. This goes to the power, and then all your plugs here, and then you just get plugged in. They're also labeled already, so you know which one goes to what. And yeah, so we're gonna plug the nav one right into here, and I think we might even attach the battery just to make sure we test it and test stuff as we go before we get this mounted all the way in. So even though I'm gonna take this apart, these plugs back off and stuff, but I want to plug them in just now as we rig stuff. I'm still gonna put just a little dielectric grease for now, just so we get good connections. It's good to just test stuff as you go. Usually I don't, and I'll just do everything at once and then test it. Let's get the battery we got, and we're gonna rig up terminal stuff that we got and then go from there. So this battery terminal connection has a plug. It already has a built-in fuse, which is also a fuse going to the actual power system itself. So you have double fuses, and then it comes with these little connections to go on just like a smaller battery, these like pigtail connections, but it also comes with these for a terminal that you just push into these. But I'm probably gonna actually put this style on immediately and rewire it, but just for now, we're gonna combine these together like they give you and just connect it. Okay, red to red, black to black, never mess that up, and you'll have a lot of problems. Alrighty, so you can see here, like I said, they just plug in this focus. These metal connection terminal actually plug into that plug, which is just the tabs. You got a fuse there that plugs into the power cord underneath there. Man, this focus is terrible. Apologies. So then you also have a fuse here that goes in here. You can see the Wi-Fi is blinking, and this switch was lit up. So if we hit nav, or we got to hit power. Yep, there it lights up. You can see that light up, and then hit nav. You heard it, and there we go. We got green, super bright, and we got red, super bright. There we go. Perfect. That worked out perfectly. We'll just rig as we go, and then we will take everything back apart here and mount it on, like I said, a hard piece of plastic that I have that I'll grab in a minute, and it's gonna go all up in the inside of the kayak. We have a 12 volt amp hour, 12 volt, 30 amp hour battery that's gonna go in the black pack. Yes, everything's a mess, ignore this. But we're just gonna rig as we go, plug everything in, test it as we go, and that way we know if we have any issues, we can solve it now. Okay, it's plugged in. We can leave that running for now. No sense to unplug it. Not too worried about it. And now, I guess, I don't know what we should do next, because I wanted to kind of work front to back, so I would say next in the front are the button lights and the USB port. But I guess let's do the USB port first, and then we will do the button lights, because I still got to figure out where I exactly want the button lights. Super excited about these. These are super nice to have. The only thing about these is they do take a giant hole to mount them. As I'm dropping stuff. So the way these work, which they're pretty simple to mount, is there's a plate, and you actually have a backing locking nut on there. So you want to be able to reach wherever you mount this. So that's one thing I need to consider, is how far up here can I get my arm, because you really want this backing washer on it. Realistically, I'd love for it to be all the way up here, but I'm probably gonna have to go up more towards the front just so I can reach this, so I can get it nice and tight on there. One thing I need to see is, will it reach? So that's one thing, is it won't necessarily reach where I want it to go unless I put it on the inside of one of these pockets so it's closer to me instead of all the way up here. Not sure. I have the extensions to be able to run these, but I don't know if I want to do that or not. I got to figure out what I want to do. If I have one of these connectors, extends me another couple feet. If I put that there, that would get me there. So I could do that and then just have this connection sitting in the inside of the kayak. Maybe I'll do that. It's not properly how it's supposed to be done, but at the same time, there's not a little DIY in it. What is it? You know, it's kayak ridden. There's always DIY. So if I mount that, like, say right there, and run that all the way up, that'll get us to where we need to be. I'd rather have it up here. Realistically, I'd love it right here, but there's no way to get this backing nut on it, which I really want to keep. There's no way to keep it from coming in and out, because this plate goes on, slides on here, and then it would just come out. Because if I did it here, I want to be able to get the backing nut on anyway. But if I do it up here, I can at least get the backing nut on it and be good to go. If I use a wrench on the back of this nut, actually, I bet you I could reach up in there any further. I mean, this is a giant wrench, for example, but if I use this wrench to push on the tabs of this, I could actually tighten it, probably get it really pretty good, snug and tight, as it's gonna be a little bit of a pain, but then I could reach up to get it even further where I want it. So I think we're gonna try that. It's risky because we're gonna drill the hole first, but I think that's what we're gonna do. Requires an 1 1/8 hole. Gonna need the hole saw, or the step up bit. Gonna need the step up bit. And then the step up bit, if you guys do any kayak install, any install honestly, step up bit's great to have. A little trick you can do is to just put some tape on the drill bit, what step that you want it to go to, so that way you don't go past it. Because the last thing you want to do is make the hole too big. So one thing we want to do first is to add this connection that we're going to add, and we want to put that all the way through first. So what we're going to do is, you also want to make sure that you add the backing plate. We're going to add the extra plug and do some dielectric grease and add this little DIY extension that we decided to do. And we're actually going to run it towards the front for now, would be the goal. And then we'll use the snake to get it up from there. Okay, so we got the extra wire. That's all up here. And then we're gonna unplug this wire and add the washer. Should slide all the way up to where we need it. And then take off this tape quick. and then put the plug in. Also add some waterproof sealant as we go, even though it's like threading in like the previous thing we did. Now, luckily that this is such a tight fit that, so you're threading it on there. So realistically, if you can't get the backing washer on, it could be okay. But if this thing vibrates and starts to undo itself, you could have potential issues. So you want to get this threaded on there as much as possible. So that looks good. We are going to use the 2 screws provided and mount this up. Alrighty guys, I'm going to show you real quick. That way, I know it's probably hard to tell. So here you are. There's a notch here on this backing plate that this tab goes into, this waterproof tab. So you can see it's all level. Make sure it's facing the right way, whatever way you want it. And then you got 2 screws that they come with. And we're going to also put some waterproof silicone through the holes. And then I have the wires coming up here right now. And the plug is down in here where I had it. And then the nut is all the way up. And I have to somehow get it all the way up. There's the goal. But this threaded on here, like realistically, you probably can't pull this out. Like you'd have to break it to come out. So I might not be too worried about the nut. I prefer to have it on there. So we're going to mess around with it for a little bit, try to get it to go. But we're going to mount this, put these screws on, and then this thing is ready to go. And we can run the wire down into all the way down and plug it in. It's a tiny bit crooked, that backing plate, but that's going to happen. That's okay. That's in there like swimwear. It ain't going nowhere. I probably could have put some, even some of this waterproof sealant on the back side of that backing plate, but it's solid in there. It's not like it's gonna get a ton of water right there. All right, gonna be honest. Definitely not gonna be able to get that backing nut on there. It's a good idea, but honestly, like I said, that thing is a tight fit. The screws are holding it on there. I'd really have to yank it out. I'll keep an eye on it. If anything, I might put some super glue on the back of the backing or on the actual threads as it went in where I put the waterproof sealant. So take that into consideration. I took the risk because I want it more up here. Realistically, if I knew I wasn't going to be using it, I probably would have moved it up even further. But it is what it is. I like where it's at. It'll be close here to my crossbar, and then it'll go right up to my GoPro in the front. So let's fish up the wires back in, plug it in, and make sure that it works. Alrighty, so we got the connection up there, and what's nice is I talked about these pigtail connections. I'm actually going to use one of these for both USBs. So I'm going to put both USBs into one and go into one switch. So when I hit the button, it's going to turn both of them on at once. So I know there's only one button to turn on both my GoPro battery sources. So that's what I'm going to use right now. Okay, so we're going to turn it on. Okay, hit the nav lights. Nav lights work. Number 2. Let's see if this turned on. There we go. Charger USB. It's got USB and Type-C. So you could do both. I could do a phone charger and a GoPro, or a GoPro and a phone, whatever. Like I said, this really isn't coming out. It was threaded in there pretty good, just like we did the nav lights. So it shouldn't come out at all. Over time it might rattle out, but like I said, I can remove these screws and put some super glue on this backing plate and make sure, and put some on the actual inside threads of this if we wanted to, but it is going to work out perfectly. So we're going to copy this install the exact same, but we're going to go back here because I'm running my Yak Attack boomstick on this Yak Attack double mount right here. So we're going to put the other USB port in the side right in here somewhere. I probably should put my Yak Attack black packs in here first before I do it. So maybe I'll clean this out, move stuff around. Let me put my Yak Attack black packs in here first, so I don't hurt myself and like block it somehow. So let's do that real quick. We should be fine. We got plenty of room to mount it right in here. Like I said, I gotta add that extension. I'm gonna have to do the same thing most likely, and pretty much copy the exact same thing. So we'll just speed through that real quick, and let's just do exactly what we just did. So real quick, it looks like I'm actually gonna put it a little bit closer and not as far back on the rail where this thing is, just because I have a really good spot right here to mount it, and that way I don't even have to use that other extension piece, because I technically have that stuff for other stuff. So I did get a couple extras just in case, just because there's so much mounting to get done. So I think I'm going to try to avoid using that if I can. I still won't be able to use this washer, but I will. I won't have to use the extension piece. So let's get this mounted right over here. Alrighty, that was a little bit of a shit show. Remember I said that they can twist up on you when we were doing the nav lights? As I threaded that USB in, it literally twisted this up so much that it sucked it all the way back up in there, and I could not find it for the life of me. But finally, we got it. So let's put some dielectric grease on here. That took way too long. That shouldn't have taken that long. But yeah, let's plug in this one. And like I said, these are paired up together on this Y plug, so once I turn this on, it should turn on both USBs at the same time. Turn this on, lights up, do the nav lights again. Nav lights are on. Number 2 for the USBs. Double check the one up front. That one's on. Double check this one down here. I can see it lit up already. And that one's on. So that one's good. All right, so we got the USB back here. We got the USB up there. So both GoPros are gonna be able to run all day, no issues. So next up, we got, we also have the nav lights done. So pretty much what we have left is we have to put a plug in the back here on this side for my Firefly Stern Light that I'm gonna put in. So we have to drill a hole here, but that's just gonna be adding a connection to the end that we already bought, those little pigtails. So we're just gonna add the black and red connection. We're gonna add one of those pigtails on the end, and then same with the micro PowerPole. I think we're gonna do a through hole kit here, and then run the wire all on the inside of the kayak, up in, re-add the fuse, because the fuse is not going to go through the through hole kit hole, and then we'll re-add the fuse, and then add the pigtail, and then I'll plug right in, and we'll be good. So probably should do that next. So let's mount the micro power pole and get all this wiring in through and install a through hole kit. Get that done, and then we'll do the rear stern light. And then after that, I think it's just, we have the button lights all to do, and the QuadLock Marine I'm actually waiting on. So we probably won't all finish this video in one day, to be honest, because it's taking a little bit longer than I thought, but you want to make sure you do it right, and that way you do it properly and you have no mistakes. So let's get the micro power pole installed, and then we'll go from there. Nice thing about these Old Towns, and if you do get a kayak, to have the threads already in the back here, because then it's literally just, they have like plastic little screw holes to cover it for now. But then you literally can just thread these right into the molded in inserts, and it makes life a lot easier, I will say that. Alrighty, so we got the power pole remounted, and as you can see, there's a built-in fuse here. I had it connected directly to the battery, but now what I'm gonna do is cut this off, and then I'm gonna have to reattach the pigtails that are gonna plug into that, because this is going to not go through the hole for the through hole kit. So I'm gonna have to, I still wanna keep the fuse on here, even though there's a fuse on the whole system. That way it just protects this before it goes into that. So we're gonna have to cut this off, reattach it, and then cut these two off and put it on the pigtail. So let's do that real quick. Alrighty, so we were gonna start the micro power pole, but I think we're gonna have to wait for another day to finish that when we're finishing the rest of this the next day, because we have to get another Yak Attack through hole kit. I thought I had an extra backing plate, but we do not. So unless I find it, but what I'm going to do is I'll still do the other stern light on there. But what's nice is with Yak Power, you can get these like 3 packs, or you can get singles. But it's literally just these extensions that come with your wire crimps, some shrink tubing, and the pigtail that you need to plug into the system. So let's leave the PowerPole go for now, and let's do the Atwood plug on the opposite side, because we need to do the stern Firefly light. Alrighty, y'all, so we're gonna do my rear stern light, and I've done the Yak Attack flag, and that's a pain in the ass. And the flag pops off all the time. So what I got was, shout out to Firefly. They sent me one of their lights. They're really cool. It uses an Atwood plug, which is your basic plug that come on bass boats. But we're going to rig one up here on the back of the kayak. And this is their carbon fiber light. It's just a white backlight, and it extends right here. This one goes up to 3 foot. They have a bunch of different sizes, but it's nice and bright. Super awesome. So super excited to use this. So we are going to put this in the back here, and then this is the only amount of wire on here. So we do have to do some extension. So I do have some extra 14 gauge wire that I'm going to add to this so we can run it all the way up there and add a pigtail, and then we'll be good to go. Alright guys, so we just drilled a little pilot hole here. We're going to put the, I don't know if I said this or not, I said through hole kit for this. You don't need a through hole kit for this because the actual plug goes down in. But I just wired in some extra wiring, some length to it. So we are going to drill this hole, add the pigtail on that end, plug it in, test it, and then we will heat shrink tubing the connections and all that stuff. But we're going to drill this hole right now. And then we're going to use the snake and run this wire up through. We got the connection through, so we're going to add this pigtail, plug it in, and then we'll heat shrink all the shrink tubing and stuff once we know it's good. All right, so we got all this crimped up. We're going to attach this somewhere and then plug it in. But what should I do? We got nav lights covered. I could do 2 to 1 and do all the nav lights as one with the Y connections, but I think I'm okay. We'll do S for stern. That's what we'll do. We will do S for stern, put some dielectric grease on here, turn this on, stern. So we should be able to plug this in, and there we go. I don't know if you can see that, but she is on. She is turned on. Nice bright light. So that worked out perfectly. So we got our stern light, we have our stern white light there from Firefly, which you literally add this little thing onto the bottom of it, and that way you can easily tighten it up. So you can put this right on here, push it down in, and then add this piece, and it totally locks on there and won't come out. So let's heat shrink all our connections, and then we have to install the screws on the right here on this plug. But that worked out perfectly. You guys can always try to use shrink tubing, and I got the waterproof crimps that actually also heat shrink. So I'm like double heat shrinked around this wire, and that way you don't have any issues. You don't want to have any issues. I'm actually honestly probably going to put a little electrical tape around this too, just as additional protection. Alrighty, so we got it ready to go, and I went to install it with the screws, and unless I'm crazy, that doesn't come with screws, the Atwood plug. So I don't see that's included hardware. It just says use stainless steel screws, but it doesn't say anything about including hardware unless I put it somewhere. So unless I find it, do better, Atwood. Provide the freaking screws. Like, that's crazy. So we're gonna have to pick up screws. Like I said, I'm still waiting on the, gonna have to do a Yak Attack through hole kit for the micro PowerPole, and that's just how builds go. If you guys know, you know, you go to do something and then a bunch of other projects happen on top of it. But we can keep moving on. We have a few things left to do before we finish up. So the last thing I think we can do today, because we're still waiting on some QuadLock stuff as well as the other stuff I said, are the button lights. So I'm going to do 2 pairs in the back, like I said, 2 pairs in the front. Just kind of figure out where I want them. I think I might do some like on the back here shining up, and then maybe on the sides here on the inside of the walls facing that way. Or maybe right here. I don't know yet. Trying to maximize my light output. But if I put one here, I don't know yet. We'll figure it out. But we're going to install these. These are super easy to install. I've installed them before. And yeah, put them all together, and we're gonna put the 2 pair back here with the Y connection, so it only goes to one of the buttons, and then the same with the 2 pair in the front. That way, if I just want to light up the front, I can. That way I'm not lighting up all of it at the same time. And it's the same, another issue is I told about the Ys is I would have to have 2 Ys going to another Y and then going to the plug. And I don't want to go too many Ys. I feel like that's too many connections going and probably not the safest thing. So we're going to do just the front and the back separate. What's nice about these button lights is it actually comes with the drill bit. I didn't even realize that. So they each are separate, and then it comes with its own Y plug. And then this is going to be up there and go to another Y plug where the other pair is going to come up. So both, they're going to have 2 of these going to a Y and then going to the actual thing, which again, like I said, is okay. But if I did all of them, it'd be way more and too many Y plugs. So we're going to install this. It's super easy. So what you do is you use this drill bit and then you actually use a socket, and the socket, this light is shaped like a socket. So it's really easy to install. So we need a 5/8 inch socket real quick. So this is exactly like the nav lights. It does come with a backing nut, but they said it's not necessary for the most part. You can just actually thread this into the kayak like we did with the navigation lights up front. So we're gonna take this backing nut off. We're gonna snake this cable all the way up to the Yak Power. Then we're gonna put some waterproof silicone as we did on the nav lights as we thread it in there, and then we will put it on using the socket. All right, we got those ones through. The dang snake got caught on the other one, so then I accidentally pulled the one back through. A little bit of a crap shoot, but. So we got the first pair connected, and then we're gonna grab a Y. So we're gonna grab a Y connection and then add some dielectric to that. And then this is gonna get plugged in here. And then what we're gonna do is run the other pair like right here and then connect it to that and plug it in. So let's do that. These do come with the little like bread tires things too. Make sure you guys hang on to these. They're really good. Like once I, get all this up, I have all this extra wire from these buttons. I'm gonna fold it back up as far back in there as I can and twist tie them. That way they don't, so they're not a giant mess everywhere. But first things first, we're gonna take the backing nuts off these and then do exactly what we just did over there. I still have to use the socket to install those, but what I'm gonna do is I wanna do this first. I want to plug it all in, make sure they all work first, and then unplug them, because remember, as you twist these on the socket to install them, it's going to twist up these wires. So let's at least get everything plugged in, and then we'll actually finish installing them, which takes 5 seconds. Already got both of them pulled in. We're going to put them to this Y, add it to the other Y, and we'll be all set. So let's turn this on. We got nav lights. Yep. We got US. Oh, there's 2. And there we go. Lights it up really good. Nice blue light. So let's use the socket and finish installing these, which is going to twist these up. So we might have to unplug them once we're done. But it's super easy to install them. You literally just use a socket. You don't want to over tighten them, but you literally use your hand socket. We're going to add a little bit of waterproof silicone, and you literally just do what we did for the nav lights and screw them into place. You don't need a wrench or a ratchet. Literally do it by hand. And just like that, that one's installed. Same thing on this side so you guys can see it up close. Add some waterproof silicone. It just slides right over. Socket slides right over the light. And then it goes right in. And literally just creating the threads with your hands like the nav lights. Just like that. Do that on the back and we're done with the back tank well lights. Alrighty, so that's enough for today. I got places to be, so I can't finish it today, unfortunately. Projects always take longer than you think, so we're gonna cut right into the next day and get everything else that we were missing, and let's finish up this install, and super excited about this build. Alrighty y'all, welcome back to day 2 of the install. We got some parts that we needed, so we are good to go to finish up this Yak Power install. So far it's been really smooth, super easy. I just thought it would take not as much time, but that's how every project goes. But I picked up some stainless steel screws. I actually had some that I found. They're really long, but it doesn't matter because it's not gonna hit anything. Right now I'm gonna attach this Atwood plug with these stainless steel screws, and again, use some clear silicone. I lost the lid, so I put some electrical tape. Hopefully that worked. Yeah, so I gotta put some clear silicone waterproof sealant on these, just like I've been doing everything. And that is for, again, the Firefly Stern Light that we have rigged up. After that, we're gonna do the button lights on the front of the kayak and the QuadLock Marine waterproof phone charger that I use for my phone. That way it stays fully charged during tournaments. And then lastly, we're gonna finish off with the micro PowerPole install. We got the Yak through-hole kit. So we're gonna put that on there. And then yeah, we are all done with this Yak Power setup, and it is gonna be sweet. Alrighty, so that's done. What's nice about this plug is it comes with a cap on it, so you can make sure no water or anything gets in there. But just remove that cap, you're good to go. And we already added the screw lock that comes with Atwood plug, and it's super easy to install on any Stern Light. And then this just goes right in here, push it down in, and then you can actually twist it right on there, and then it's locked in. It's not going anywhere. Extend that all the way up, and then I'm actually going to, I downloaded the Yak Power app, so that way I can have it in case I have any issues, and I should be able to turn this on. There we go, just like that. And you probably can't see it because I have it too high up, but bring it down here, and now you can see it. Turn on, turn off with the app, which is super, super nice to have. Just in case if you were to have any issues, you could always have the Bluetooth as a backup. And yeah, it's super nice to have. So turn that off, turn the system off. So yeah, there we have it. Super easy to do. And this thing is locked in here. It's not going anywhere. Super happy with it. And yeah, let's move on to the button lights in the front of the kayak. Alrighty, so like I already showed you how to install these button lights. Super easy. And we get more drill bits. So we're gonna have 4 drill bits by the end of this. And then you just need a socket. You don't need the backing nut. So I'm trying to figure out where I want these lights, because like I said, I've heard that they're really, really bright. So I'm thinking of, you know, you don't want to be able to see them. So like, or at least, you know, stare into them. So I'm thinking of putting one pair here on the bottom here in the front that shines up the front of the kayak. And then I'm thinking of putting the other set more up here towards this USB port, because it'll light up the back of my graphs. So in the morning, if I need anything with, you know, the plugs or anything like that, who knows? It'd be nice to have lights light up here, so it kind of shines up towards the back, because my crossbar, my DIY crossbar I'm gonna put out a video on, is gonna go right here. My graph's gonna go on that. So if I can put the lights right about here and shine directly across, that should be good. Light up the back of the graphs, and as well, my graphs looking forward should actually kind of block them, so I won't be able to see directly the lights here because they're going to be super bright. That I'm not looking right at them. So if I'm fishing at night, anything like that, it's not going to mess with my natural night vision, which is what I told you about the navigation lights. You don't want to be able to see them when you're actually directly see the lights when they're installed in the front of your kayak. So let's get these rigged up, installed, and it's the same process just like the other ones. So again, don't forget to take off the backing nut, since we won't be using that, or else you're gonna have to rerun it twice. Pull it all the way back out, take it off, and do all that. So I think we're actually gonna run the front ones first. I'm gonna get them all situated, but we're gonna snake the front cords back. So that way when we do these ones, we're not trying to do these ones first and then run the snake up and get caught and everything. So we're gonna run the front ones first, but I'm gonna get them all around first. And then we will run the snake up and get them all run through. And one thing that I did that I probably didn't mention is when I ran the lights forward, forward from the back, what I did was I ran them on the Y pigtails. I ran one side on one side of the kayak on one Y pigtail and the other side on this pigtail. So once I have everything up in there, I'm gonna get that the tube stuff that I slid over the wires there for the navigation lights. Once I run all that stuff, it's gonna get everything nice. It can go run up each side and cover as much of that wire as possible. And that way, if I ever need to snake more wire, the more I can get covered up in that tubing, so it's less stuff for the snake to get caught on. It's just more organized, and it just is cleaner on the inside of the kayak. So it doesn't protect it because that tubing isn't waterproof, but it just makes it easier to run if you need to run more wires or change out wires, this and that, for electronics, like if you're rerunning new transducers or anything like that, new fish finders. It's just one less thing that you're gonna get snagged on when you're running the snake up and down. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna put those two coming up to the same Y pigtail, and then these two going up to the same, and then I'll run that tubing over the wires up each side, as far up the front one as it can go, and then it'll keep going up that one, and it'll just come out a little bit for that one over there. All right, so just as an example, I'm going to take my DIY crossbar and set it on top of where it's gonna go. Like I said, I'm gonna put out a video of me putting this thing together, and that way you guys can see. But like I'm saying, if it's here, my graphs are up here. If I put the buttons like right here, it's gonna shine up and shine the back of my graphs, but it's not going to blind me because I'm not gonna be able to see it from my graphs. So I think I'm gonna kind of put it right in front, in between the USB and the through-hole kit from Old Town, and then right in front of this through-hole kit. So let's drill these holes. Alrighty, so we got the front two ran, and I'm gonna run these ones right here, which we shouldn't even need the snake for. And I think I'm gonna put them right here, like I said, so they face up towards my feet. We got these totally ran up on both sides. So like I said, we're gonna run these two on the same Y connection, and then those two on the same. So let's get some dielectric grease, get these plugged in, make sure they work, and then we can finish installing them. Alrighty, and we're gonna make this go to accessory port number 1. So we have 1 going to the front lights, 2 going to the rear lights, and 3 going to the GoPros. Grab our switch, turn it on, and 1. There we go, all lit up, looks great. So let's use the socket and actually twist it and put some waterproof sealant on there and actually twist them into the Kayak. And then these lights are ready to go. I'm really excited how this came out. So we got front lights, back lights, USB ports, Firefly light, navigation light, and we have 2 ports left, 2 buttons left. And that is gonna be the micro PowerPole and the QuadLock phone charger. And then this thing is totally maxed out to its use, and it's gonna work everything properly. And then I have my own DIY harness. Like I said, I linked that video that I made for all of my fish finders and live scope. But super excited, we're almost done, guys. Alrighty, so all the 4 button lights in the front are installed. So now we're gonna do the QuadLock Marine phone charger. So what this is, if you didn't know, is this is a waterproof phone charger from QuadLock, and it comes with a little ball mount in the front. And I have it mounted on the side of my graph, so that way I can keep my phone in front of me and keep it charged all day long. I can pull it right off. They use a phone case here that has a circle in the back. So literally what you do is you push this in, and then once it pushes in, you just get it at an angle, and it locks in there, and then it's in there, and then it comes with wired in, and I added a bunch of extension to this when I rigged it up in the Kayak the first time. But then you just literally just twist it off, and it pops right off. But that way I can keep my phone charged on the water all day, because you guys know for fishing tournaments, last thing you want is a dead phone, and you don't have to worry about charging packs or anything like that. So I'll leave this link down below too if you guys are looking into something, but this phone charger is super, super nice as well. Yak Power also makes one, but I already had this for years. That this has a specific phone case. So if you're looking for one that you don't need a specific phone case and you just like a lightweight phone case, check out the Yak Power one. They have a really great one as well that does charge your phone. You just have to install one of these USB ports. You can put it right next to your track and then put their phone holder on your track, and their phone holder is like a big rectangle that clamps down all corners so it fits any size phone. So check that out, link down below as well if you don't want a different phone case or anything like that. And that, again, you just plug it right in the USB port, or if you already have a USB port, get their phone charger, plug it right in, and then you can keep your phone charged on the water all day long, because that's important when you're fishing tournaments. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna run the QuadLock cord right through the Old Town through hole kit on this side, and this is where my transducer cable and my power cable for my one Garmin 93 SV is, and then this side will have my power cable and my live scope cable for the 93 SV on this side. So we're gonna take that out and run this cable all the way up through. So I'm just gonna show you me wiring it in, and then once I finish setting up my entire kayak, like I'm gonna do a video on this DIY crossbar, like I said, that'll be my next video coming out. And then at the end, I'll do an overview of showing the whole entire kayak, and that's where you guys can see exactly how I had the QuadLock set up on the side of my graphs and stuff right in front of me. If you didn't see in my tournament videos, you can usually see where it's at. But if you're wondering how it's set up and stuff like that, like I said, it'll be in a future video. But right now, I'm just gonna wire it in. Alrighty, so we got the QuadLock cable ran through. So let's wire it up with one of those pigtails that I got, and then we will test it and then heat shrink wrap everything and all the connections, and then we'll be done with the QuadLock. Alrighty, so I'm actually waiting on the last thing that I need to do the PowerPole, which is the Yak through hole kit, which I told you about, which is getting delivered by Amazon as we speak here in the next hour or so. So we're gonna actually start working on the next piece, which was mounting this whole system to something. So what I have is this old piece of like plastic that people use for mods. I've used these for DIY PowerPole mounts. This here was actually mounted on the back of my black pack, and it made it so I could put 4 rod holders on the back instead of just 2. So we're gonna actually repurpose this and size it up to where this can slide up in underneath the seat behind it, and then I'm going to Velcro this down on the inside of the kayak, and then it's gonna get bolted to this as well. Bolted to this and then Velcro down onto the kayak. So we're gonna mess around with this, start sizing it up, and getting this fitted into the kayak. So that way we can get this thing mounted, and then once that last thing comes from PowerPole, we can get that taken care of. Alrighty, excuse the lawnmower noise outside, but we use this, like I said, thicker plastic stuff, pretty much cutting board material, and we bolted the Yak Power onto it so it's not going anywhere. And then there's 2, you can see one right there, there's 2 like raises in the kayak here, and what I'm gonna do is put Velcro on both of those on each side, and then on the bottom of this, and Velcro it down in. And then my live scope, if you didn't know, my live scope, like I said, my tackle bench is a mess. Don't worry about it. My live scope box, black box, I put in this thing. It is redneck as heck, but we put this down in there as well. So I use this for the black box. As you can see here, it's got holes for the wires to go into. This was just an old 3600. The one latch is like broken, but it still works. And I redneck cut out all the dividers in there. Listen, it doesn't look pretty, but it does the job. So that is gonna go down in on that side of the wall, and the black box sits in here, the wires come out, and then I close the lid on it. So it's not totally waterproof, but it keeps it somewhat waterproof, and I don't know if it makes a difference or if I just lay it down in there, if it really would matter, but you can see I have Velcro. I'm gonna add some more Velcro and put that on the side of the wall, kind of laying down in there. Or I'm gonna try to make it fit, I don't know. Try to make it fit also where the Yak Power is, but at least here, no water will get in through the bottom of it, so it's laying down in the trough there of the kayak. It's okay. It would take a lot of water to get in the side of this on the back side, where this is gonna be up, like I said, on those ridges, and there will be no water getting to that as well. Water usually doesn't get in these things, but that's why we put the waterproof sealant. You're on big lakes, you take waves over the front, who knows? It's better to just be prepared just in case somehow water were to get inside the kayak. So that's what we do. The black box goes in here, and the Yak Power is mounted on this. Alrighty, so we still have to clean up the wires, but I'm gonna wait until the PowerPole gets totally done and installed. So actually what we need to do, and I totally forgot about, is rig up the battery in the black pack, in my Yak black pack, next to my 12 volt 50 amp hour battery that's in there to run all my electronics for my graphs and live scope. So let's get that situated. Let's figure out how we're gonna do that and get that totally rigged up and ready to go. Don't mind all the stuff. I had all my stuff that was track mounted on the kayak that needs to go on the new one in here, but this is what it is. I have a 12 volt 50 amp hour battery going to a breaker. It comes through a Yak through hole kit. It comes out the back, and I'm gonna have to change the orientation of this because when I had it in the last kayak, it was facing the other way anyway. And then it comes out and goes to this plug, which then goes into the lid that goes underneath the seat. So if you haven't seen that video, I'll link it up here. But what we're gonna do is essentially, we have a two metal L brackets that we added in here to hold the battery. And then there's also a strap that was over it. So between those two, this thing literally, I mean, I undid the strap, but it doesn't move. I've never had it move. So what we're gonna do is take this 12 volt, 30 amp hour battery, put it in here, put an L bracket on this side once again, and then put one on this side, and that's gonna secure, and then we'll add the strap to go around both batteries. And that way this thing is gonna be so secure and it's not gonna move. It can stay during travel. And then I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna run it out here and then get to the main Yak Power system. So if you didn't see my last video of creating this DIY power harness, I picked up these stainless steel L brackets, and that's what I'm mounting. It comes with the stainless steel hardware. So what I do is I just put shrink tubing up and down both sides of the L bracket, just so it's mostly rubber and not metal because of battery connections and you're charging, whatever. And what I do is I just push the one side against the battery, and then I actually poke holes through the shrink tubing, and then I just put one, I don't even put two, I just put one screw in that holds the battery. So I'm gonna put one on the side of the smaller 30 amp hour and then one on the front, and that'll hug it good, plus the strap, and these batteries aren't gonna go anywhere. And then you can see here, it is totally covered except that little corner piece, and then that way it's just more rubber. Alrighty guys, so you can see the finished product. I have two L brackets over here on this side, and then I have one on this side and one on the front here, plus the strap going over both of them, and literally they don't budge. I have the terminals on opposite sides so they're not too close, and that's what I'm gonna run for this. And yeah, so I gotta install the switch that goes, that I'm gonna put in on the side here that connects to this. And then it's gonna do, I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna run it from here to the side of the kayak into the main Yak Power system. All right, so I picked up this switch here, and it's gonna actually get mounted right on the inside wall of the black pack. The reason I have this is because my batteries always stay connected, and I wanna be able to just turn off the power going. I mean, I could also unplug it, which I probably will, but I wanna be able to turn off the power going to the whole system as well, just in case of emergency or whatever. But like I said, I always keep my batteries connected on the terminals. Like I said, the 12 volt 50 amp hour just has a plug, so it's loose in travel. There's no power going to anything, so I also want to be able to kill the power, so that way there's no power going from that battery to anything as well. Alrighty, so the switch is right here right now. It turns on and off, but what I didn't think of exactly, which I probably should have done before I mount here, which is fine, I can move it, is, so what I'm gonna do is, one end plugs into the terminals here, the other end is just another SAE connector. So what I'm gonna take is, I have two of these left, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually mount one on the inside here, which is probably gonna go like somewhere, one of these, inside of one of these squares with a 3/4 inch hole. And then it's gonna come out of the back here, and it's gonna run all the way, and then I'm gonna put the other connector right here. And then this is gonna get, which is gonna look weird because the screws are coming out of the back of this, but I also have the other switch coming out, or the other cables coming out, wires and stuff, so it's fine. So the screws are gonna come out of this mounted. This thing's gonna be mounted on the inside here, and then it's gonna come out, go down to here, and then I'm gonna add this one on this inside of the kayak right here. And then when this plugs into this will go through the kayak and plug into the main switch panel, the whole Yak Power system. So that's the plan. Let's finish this up, and all we gotta do is the power pole then, and we're done. Alrighty, so we got everything mounted. The way we had to do it was actually put the switch on its side. So the button's actually over here, which is kind of nice. So it shouldn't accidentally get bumped by anything. But as you can see, comes off the battery terminal, plugs into the switch, then goes from the switch to the connection. The connection comes out the back, which is okay because I have those wires coming back out the back as well. So there's gonna be a little bit of space in between these two. And then this is gonna get mounted. We're gonna mount the other one right underneath this button light, run that in, and we should get power to the whole system. Alrighty, got the hole drilled. We're gonna get this fed through, and it's gonna plug in. Okay, let's plug this end in. Add some dielectric grease, and I'm just gonna try everything before we go mounting it. Make sure everything works. Okay, that connection comes through here, and then this connection. So, should be able to turn this switch on. Yep, and we got power. And I'll show you right here. We're gonna open the app. We got power, power on. We're good. All right. That came out really good. So let's turn everything off. Let's mount this. And hopefully Amazon delivered my last piece so we can do the PowerPole and be all done. One thing I totally forgot about was we have to mount the switch that we've been using. So it's super easy. All you have to do is drill a hole, not for this whole entire switch, but drill a hole just for the cord that's coming out of it. And then it sits flush, and then you use the 2 mounting screws right here. So we're gonna mount that here. I think I'm gonna mount it right here on this side. It's gonna go flush right there. And then I'm gonna mount my remote for my PowerPole system with some Velcro right over here as well. So that way everything's kinda close to one another. So gonna drill out the hole right here, mount it up, and then that way, last thing is the PowerPole. Or yeah, to rig up the PowerPole. Alrighty, there's the switch panel all rigged up, and then I'm gonna do some Velcro over here and put my PowerPole button, but you'll see that on the final video going over the whole kayak setup. But that's all done, so let's do the PowerPole through with the Yak through-hole kit, wired up, and we are done. Alrighty guys, so we're gonna drill this hole right here for the Yak through-hole kit, run the wire in like I showed yesterday. We gotta cut the fuse off, run the wire, and then re-add the fuse down before we attach the pigtails to go to the Yak Power system. Alright, so we're only putting 1 wire through the Yak kit, so we're going to do 1 blank. They just use rubber spacers, and I'm going to use 1 full blocked off one, no hole, and they have different size holes. And the way you add wires is you literally actually take a knife and you cut it at an angle and you just add your wire around it, and then you just open it up, put your wire around it. This one you definitely want to use silicone, waterproof silicone along it, because it is a technically somewhat open hole. Alright, so we got the micro PowerPole with the wired in, and we're going right into here into this Yak through-hole kit. And yeah, that came out really good. I maybe could have slid it down just a hair because the kayak starts to bend, but it looks like we got a good seal. You can see the silicone. Put silicone on both screws, put silicone all around the inside of this thing, and it's a nice tight fit, so no water should get in there, and I never should really have water coming in here, even with big waves over the back. So we're just gonna wire it up, and then we're good to go. Alrighty, so we got the PowerPole, and then we need to rewire in the switch. Even though this comes with a switch, I don't know, I feel like I should add another switch still. So we're gonna do that just in case. Alrighty, there we are. Just gonna put some dielectric grease as always, and we're gonna plug it in to the anchor one, correct? Then we need to turn this on and see what happens. And hopefully we have no issues. So this is the final test of everything. So we're doing switch, turns that on, shoots power to our main system, correct? Now this is on, we have our buttons over here. We can do turn it on, Yak Power's on. We're gonna do nav lights, check. Bow, which I don't think we have anything rigged up to, correct? B is the only one we have nothing. So we have M for mobile, which is our QuadLock phone charger, lit up. We got S for stern, which is our stern light, which I don't know if you can see because it's extended, but we got our stern light lit up. Perfect. Then we have 1, which should be the front lights. Check. We have 2, which should be the back lights. Check. And we have 3, which should be the USB ports. Check. And the anchor automatically gets power. And we are good. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but up and down works. So we are totally rigged up, guys. Again, thank you guys all for watching this video. I don't know how long it is. This took about 2 days. I'm not gonna finalize showing me making the wires look all pretty, all that. You guys see the gist of it. Guys, if you're interested in getting a Yak Power system, they make 5 switch outlet panels. This is the 8. I used 7 out of the 8. But as you can see, I needed all of them. You know, filming, phone chargers, lights, all that stuff, and it turned out amazing. I am super, super excited for this build. Stay tuned, because in future videos, you're gonna see my DIY crossbar. That's gonna be half the price of any other crossbars out there. And yeah, and then we're gonna do an overview of this whole thing when it's totally done, so I can walk you step by step everything I did to it. Super excited about this, guys. If you haven't already, subscribe down below. I appreciate all the continued support. As always, we're gonna be fishing tournaments throughout the rest of the season. Tournament videos are still gonna be coming out, but we're gonna throw a couple of these in between as well. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. Go out there, go fishing, and hopefully go out there and catch your next personal best.